NASCAR is in a lot of problems right now. The season's opening race was, to put it mildly, eventful. It featured wrecks, a surprise winner, and a retired driver finishing third. Most importantly, it was packed with controversy, poor decision-making, and numerous questions from fans and drivers. So, in typical style, drivers, analysts, and fans have lashed out at the organization, and their reaction has been pretty... Before we get into those reactions, let's take a look at the night's most controversial decisions. One of the most high-profile wrecks of the night at the Daytona 500 happened when Joey Logano attempted to punch his way by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with roughly 15 laps remaining. Stenhouse landed hard for the block, and Logano kept pushing. Eventually, both cars broke away, bringing a number of other drivers into the field, including Kyle Busch. Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic noted that this is becoming a reoccurring issue for Joey Logano. "I want to talk about Logano. This is kind of a Team Penske problem in general," Bianchi said after the race. Team Penske again had the fastest cars. They do a great job of working together. What happened to them last fall at Talladega? They got overly aggressive. Logano made a big run behind Stenhouse with 15 laps to go, causing the collision. Logano saw a lane to the middle as he closed down the space, which could allow him to pass Stenhouse. Stenhouse attempted to block him, which sparked the massive chain reaction in the Daytona 500. Both cars bumped briefly before careening out of control, taking numerous drivers out of the race, including Busch. Busch had some strong words for Logano following the race. Bianchi also criticized Joey Logano. "The thing with Logano, and it has bit him a few times, he is very aggressive, overly so sometimes, where he is a very aggressive pusher," Bianchi said. "He throws big blocks, and it puts him in spots where you're vulnerable, and you can see it tonight." Kyle Busch said it. "Did he need to go 3 wide there at that second? You can pick it apart and say no, but you can also say yes. So you go back and forth on this." Joey Logano finished 35th despite leading 43 laps during the race. That's a harsh blow for a driver who could have won the race but for the late contact. "There is a fine line between aggressive and overly aggressive," Bianchi stated. "And if you continually get into wrecks and you're causing wrecks, you probably need to reevaluate a little bit and say, what is going on here? I'm looking at the larger body of work here. Look at Logano. He runs really well in these races, but he doesn't get the finishes because he continually gets in these things. And people will tell you, he pushes so hard, sometimes overly hard." But that wasn't all. On what seemed like only a few laps later, disaster struck again on the final lap. This time, there was a significant controversy. In Daytona, Cole Custer made his return to the NASCAR Cup Series as a full-time driver over the weekend, but it did not go as expected. He wasn't anticipated to play a major part in the Daytona 500, but that's how things go sometimes during NASCAR's biggest race of the season. Custer was in position toward the end of the race as the field approached the checkered flag, and he had a chance to win the Harley J. Earl Trophy. Custer had a run on Denny Hamlin and Austin Cindric, but instead of making a drive for the lead, it resulted in a massive wreck, propelling William Byron to victory lane for the second consecutive season in the Great American Race. In the time afterwards, Custer has received some backlash for his move, with the aforementioned Hamlin calling him out. "The number 41 had the run, and I chose not to block him. In these races, you gotta live to make it off of turn 4, and we just didn't. I thought that the number 41 came down. I'm pushing the no 2 down as low as I can, giving the number 41 all the space and not stopping his run," the 3-time Daytona 500 winner explained. "I thought he steered left and was trying to crowd it. I understand everyone's trying to go for it, and he's going for it. All of us are. But in those situations, we gotta get off of 4, then we can do this. But we just never made it, and someone else won. I don't even know where William Byron was running." While it is difficult to determine who is to blame for the major collisions that happen at Daytona each year, Hamlin seemed to believe Custer is the one who spoiled his evening. Nonetheless, the Haas driver defended himself during a post-Daytona 500 interview with Fox Sports' Bob Pockrass. "There was a lot going on. A lot of pushing, a lot of shoving. I wish we could have stayed together with Austin, but just how it all worked out, field blocking and everything, it just didn't work out. But yeah, everybody just going for it. At the end of the day, I mean, you're just going as hard as you can," Custer stated. "These superspeedway races, you're pushing, you're shoving, you're side drafting, and it's the Daytona 500. This is the biggest race of our lives, the top of our sport. It's a life-changing race. You're just going for it all. At the end of the day, I need to see a replay of exactly what happened, if I side drafted too hard, or if I hit in the left rear. I just need to see what happened. But I hate it. I mean, these guys worked so hard on this car all week. From the duels, getting it ready, and just a couple of corners short of having a shot at the win. Following the massive issue, some drivers, including Kyle Busch, lashed out, as we highlighted yesterday. But this time, it's Denny Hamlin, who is dissatisfied with NASCAR's direction following the chaotic Daytona 500 finish. Hamlin criticized NASCAR, claiming that winning races is entirely dependent on luck. Over time, we've used to run 200 miles an hour at superspeedways, and the cars were hard to really drive and handle, Hamlin said. Daytona 500 was a battle of the best driver and the best team that brought the best car that had a great setup under it. Some of the greats of our sport could navigate the traffic and use it to their advantage. That art is gone now, just like the art of passing on short tracks is gone now. Now we just knock each other out of the way and say, that's just short track racing. We've got to get this thing back. We don't have to. I'll be gone shortly, and this can just continue down this road. Hamlin then discussed his experience dealing with these challenges as a co-owner of 23-9 Racing. I spend so much money at 23 Tep 10 to ensure my team and my drivers have the best cars available to go out there and compete for a win, he said. But it's just such a asterisk and crapshoot now. What are your thoughts about that? Are the drivers correct to be angry? However, drivers were not the only ones who questioned the organization. Insiders also expressed concerns about what happened last Sunday. Was there no caution? They completely let it play out? Jeff Gluck of The Athletic said. Okay, listen. All right. I guess I'll have to tune in for the new officiating podcast that NASCAR is doing with Mike Ford, Nate Ryan, and Amanda Ellis. Because what the hell? What the hell? Instead of issuing a caution, NASCAR allowed William Byron to soar to the finish line, beating Tyler Reddick for the victory. However, NASCAR has done something different twice earlier in the week. That's what caused Gluck's bewilderment. Let's go back to earlier in this Speed Weeks, Gluck said. So we start the Speed Weeks with the duels and duel number 2. We had a green flag finish in duel number 1. Duel number 2. There's a caution. There's a wreck coming out of turn 4 like halfway to the line, and they hit the button and call a caution less than 100 yards before. So Eric Jones thinks he won because he crossed the finish line first. They say, no, we actually threw the caution right before he crossed the line. We did not let the leaders finish. And they got pushback on that, right? Because I have been going around telling people it's pointless for them to hit the button there because nobody's lifting. If the racetrack opened up and Satan came up from the depths of hell and was sitting there on the giant Satan with pitchfork on the start-finish line, all these drivers would still stay in the gas and drive straight into it. Nobody's lifting at the end of the Daytona 500 or any superspeedway races. They're all just going for it. So I was like, why would they throw the caution? What are your thoughts on what happened? Could NASCAR have handled things differently? Is this how things should have been? How did you feel at the end of the race? Cheated? Like the drivers? Let me know your opinions in the comments section below.